Hello, hello, hello. This is Talking Manchester United, a United Stand podcast with myself, Paul Gardner, and joining me, as always, is Ash Burns. Ash, how are you, my friend?
Yes, not bad, mate, not bad. Been another lovely couple of days. Got a bit more of a tan. Absolutely knackered, but yeah, the World Cup's just around the corner, so I'm looking forward to getting back to watching some footy. What about yourself?
Are you taking the Michael Barrymore?
Why?
It's been pissing down with rain for the past week.
Well, not when I am. It's been beautiful. I'm burnt. I'm burnt to a crisp.
You're 20 minutes up the road from me. What are you on about?
It's lovely, man.
Are you serious?
Yeah, serious. It's lovely, honest. I've been shearing sheep today, so yeah, it's been lovely.
No, wait.
Wait. Yeah, less about those comments, the better, I think.
Yeah, weather's been absolutely diabolical. I mean, it's been dry the last. No, it hasn't. It's been raining all night. Actually, last night it's been rain constant for the last week. Unbelievable that 20 minutes away from each other, and you've had glorious sunshine.
20 minutes
Across the bridge. Come on.
Yeah, I'm South Wales, Southwest Wales.
Well, that's not that far,
Yeah,
is it? Really?
20 minutes.
Get a globe and put it in front of you.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, you point to the same place.
Anyway, to everyone listening, as you all know, there is no game to review. There is no game to preview, which leaves just one part of the podcast to do, and that is over to Twitter. So, Ash.
Straight away. And yeah, there is quite a comprehensive list, I think. So it will, be pretty heavily focused on all about you, I think, as a clue for you.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So just before we started recording, I was just explaining to Ash, because I was about 5 or 6 minutes late, even though I put a tweet out from the podcast accusing Ash of...
I did think of a reply, but I didn't.
Turns out I was the one that was late in the end, but that's purely because I was trying to think of a title for this podcast episode, because normally it relates to a game that's just been played or a game coming up. But obviously, I didn't have any of that, so I thought, well, what can we call it? So, and I was thinking, well, basically, this podcast is gonna be all about the people on Twitter leaving us their suggestions. So that's where the title of the podcast, All About You, comes from. So, yeah, that's that out of the way. So if you want to do what you do, Ash.
Yeah. So, yeah, as usual, the tweet went out a couple of days ago asking, what would you like us to discuss? And the challenge was to try and make your suggestions non-transfer related, because obviously silly season is in full swing. So, but I'm sure we'll get through a couple of them.
I'm sure we will as well. Pretty sure I've seen one or two.
Yeah, there is a few. There's always going to be a few, but there we are. So, top of the shop then, Mr. Southwick. Andrew, thank you again, Andrew. His customary question.
So before you says, go in the tweet, do you want to just remind, just before you read the tweet out, do you want to just remind the guys what our tweet was?
Our tweet? Yeah, it was good morning, people. There will be a podcast tonight. Ignore that bit. Yeah. 0 games to review. It'll be all about you. So let us know what you'd like to discuss. So Andrew says, kind of on a different note, if I was to get a tattoo of something Man United, what should I get? I've been thinking about getting the crest for a while, but I'm not that basic.
Okay, so he doesn't want to go basic.
Yeah.
I would, because I am basic.
You said that, not me.
Well, what can you do that's extravagant? I mean, if you went to an artist, I'm pretty sure I'd come up with something, but I'm not an artist. I think if it was me, I would take something from the crest, because that is the visual graphic that represents Manchester United. Everybody knows what that badge is. Someone sees that badge, they know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So I would always take something from the badge, and maybe the devil in the middle with the pitchfork. Maybe just take that element from the badge, and perhaps get that tattooed on you somewhere in the back of your leg or something like that. I don't know.
Well, thank you for your input, Paul, but he can't do that. Do you know why? Because I've got that.
I'm sure there's probably a lot of people all over the world that have got that tattoo.
No, I'm glad. I'm glad you said that because it was really interesting because that's exactly what I've got on my wrist. I've got as part of my sleeve. It's embedded in the sleeve is the devil, with the pitchfork.
Yeah.
And I think you're spot on. Get something. Yeah, I want to say basic, but well, as people who know and see my profile picture, I'm quite into tattoos. I've got quite a lot of them. So I do dabble with bits and bobs of designing tattoos. And what I'd say is try and keep it to something that will remain almost forever, but don't get Sanchez 7 or anything. Keep something that will stick with Man United for a very long time, for maybe our generation or maybe longer. Don't get players. In my opinion, I think someone, the rules do change. I think someone maybe like Cantona or George Best or someone like that. Okay, it's very iconic of Manchester United. But you could do, different bits and pieces. You could do maybe a little, Old Trafford. You could do a little sort of compilation of different things blended into each other. You could do all sorts. But stick to very historic, I'd say. And like Paul said, something that represents Manchester United and everyone will know. Definitely.
Exactly.
I like Matthew McFadden's reply as well. Get Fellaini 27 on your back, full size and everything. I did like that. I did like that reply. Okay, so we're sticking with Andrew because his is the next reply as well. He says, take away the wonder goal that he scored in the Champions League final. Would you be willing to have Gareth Bale? It's transfer related. Thanks, Andrew. Would you have Gareth Bale at United? His comments after the game would make you believe he's on the move.
Yeah, I was quite surprised to hear Bale speak like that because in the last couple of seasons, especially when he's been interviewed after the Champions League final, he's always been quite tight-lipped, hasn't he? He's where I am, but he's always sort of given off that sort of message to the world. But it was a very, very different story after the Liverpool game. It did definitely seem like a come and get me sort of shout, didn't it? Now, who that is remains to be seen. Is it going to be United? We don't know. Would we take him? Would I take him? See, I'm on the fence with Gareth Bale, and I have been ever since the rumours first started going around. And the reason for that is not because of his age and his price tag so much, maybe a little bit the price tag when we consider his age, but the quality that he possesses. I mean, I know, Andrew, you said to take away the goal in the final, but he scores goals. Okay, maybe not as spectacular as that one, but he scores buttes a lot. And he's able to produce that on the biggest stage. And I think that goal would make anybody stand up and think twice. I'm sure when that goal went in, Andrew, you thought, get him in my team. Just for a split second at least. But I've been on the fence purely because of his injury record since he's been in Spain. Now, I've read reports as well that, while he was in England, he didn't have that injury problem and that, United officials believed that they could manage him so that he wouldn't get injured so much. I mean, that's just all paper talk. I don't believe any of that. I mean, it could be true. I don't know. I'm on the fence purely because of his injuries and the fact that, Madrid would want so much for him because they know it's us. And in recent seasons, especially with David De Gea, Morata and all that kind of thing, I just think Real Madrid are trying robbing us and then, leading us on until another team comes in with a bid at their asking price and they accept it.
Yeah.
But I'm on the fence because of the injury and partly because of the price against his, not recent form, but his lack of playing time.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, he would improve our attack tenfold because he'll play off the right, which is an area that we're struggling with at the moment because Mata is not a right winger. Jesse Lingard is Jesse Lingard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're going to put Lingard or Bale on the right hand side, I'd put an injured Bale over Lingard on the right hand side, to be honest. But I'm on the fence with it. In one aspect, you think he might only play half a season, and he might have to pay close to 100 million for him. But on the other hand, he could score 12, 15 goals, and we could be putting on a title charge with him in the team. So I'm on the fence a little bit. And another thing you've got to think as well is that considering his age, I mean, how old is he? 29?
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. For a similar price, maybe a little bit less, can we get somebody who's much younger?
Possibly.
So are there alternatives for the same or bit less price? I mean, I don't know really. I mean, Gareth Bale is a special talent.
Yeah, he is, and he's Premier League proven as well.
Look, if we bought him, I wouldn't complain.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat as you. I think it is a big risk to take, just solely due to the fact of how much of a fee he would command. Not only that, if we were to pay the fee and we were guaranteed that he was going to stay fit for for the season and seasons to come, I'd probably say that's fine. I wouldn't have an issue with it, but. Okay, he has stayed fit for the majority of this season. I think he said that only sort of 5 weeks at the start of the season he was out with an injury, but since then he's been fit every week, which is promising, which is good news. I mean, and him having, I think, an extended period without an injury would only have made him stronger as well. Going into the off season, well, there's no World Cup for him as well, and he'd be able to have some time off and rehabilitate. So it could be worth a gamble. Whether he'll come to United is another thing. I mean, I'm sure he'll look at the.
I think he would.
Yeah, he'll probably look at the project and see that the types of players that we are bringing in and be interested in it. And he's pretty much guaranteed. I think that's number one for him is a starting place week in, week out. I mean, you only have to look at how many times he mentioned that in his post-match interview. He said, I think it was on 4 separate occasions, that he needs to be playing week in, week out. And I think he get that at United. So I'm really on the fence. I don't know if we could guarantee his fitness. I'd have him in a heartbeat. Obviously, being a Welshman as well.
Yeah.
I love the guy, but I don't know. It all depends, I think, on the fee. If we could get him for 50, 60 million, it's a very long shot at that. But something like that, I'd be happy. But we know he command more than that. So
I don't think we'd get him for anything less than 70.
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
70.
Yeah, as long as he can perform and stay fit, it'd be well worth it, I think. Good stuff. Okay, moving on. Matthew McFadden, Sergio Ramos, discuss.
Nothing to discuss, really.
Yeah.
I don't think. I think.
What about the 500,000 people who signed a petition to get him punished for that challenge?
The Liverpool fans, what do you expect?
That's ridiculous, no?
I mean, when you look at the replay, Mo actually grabs hold of him first.
Yeah, he does.
And then they just both fall over. So.
Plus, it's Sergio Ramos. He's one of the masters in, sort of, for want of a better word, shithousery. Do you know what I mean? It's that Sergio Busquets, Ander Herrera, Diego Costa. They're of the same mold. You absolutely despise them when they're not playing for you, but you love them when they play for you. And the guy's a leader, and the guy's a winner. He doesn't care how he wins. He just wants to win. I think that just epitomizes Sergio Ramos for me.
Absolutely, no, I agree.
Okay, so United, we write. They've said, how do you think the changes in staff and Michael Carrick will influence the team next season? Good question. Thank you for that.
That is a very good one. So there is going to be some shifting around. As we know, Rui Faria has left. He's taken a year out before going into management. Good luck to him.
Yeah.
But what do we know? We know it at this stage. I mean, if we know more, tell me. But what I know at least is that Mourinho's already come out and said he's not going to hire an assistant because there's no one in world football who's ready to take on that role under him. Yeah. Which is a good thing because it just goes to show how high a standard he sets. What he has said is that he's going to arrange his current coaching staff in a way so that there's space for them to, space for their education and for them to improve so that he can bring them up to that next level, which again is good. It shows that Mourinho wants to work with his staff and improve them. So that's good. And obviously, he's also mentioned the fact that he sees Carrick as being the next assistant. And in his words, once he's made that bridge from player to coach or player to assistant, eventually it will be him. Now, how is this going to influence the team next season? Just before I move on to that point, I just want to say as well, as I was saying that, I'm just thinking there's a lot of people out there that think Mourinho is going to be his last season, he's going to leave or whatever, Yeah. But these things that he's been saying, that's not the sign of somebody who's planning on leaving next year. If he was planning on leaving next year, surely he would just bring someone in for a year, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
He wouldn't want to, say no. I'm gonna develop all these people that are already in the back room, or the coaches that are already here, I mean, I could be reading into it completely wrong, but to me, there's so many positive signs to take from that. But how will it influence the team? That's a good question, because the assistant manager is quite a big role.
Yeah.
And you think of their job role, helping out with team selections, being a voice for the players, taking training sessions. What else do they do? They study some of them study opposition. I mean, the role varies between club and manager. The role varies a lot, but you could always see that Rui Faria always had a big role on the bench. He's always giving players instructions. He's always got the note, the iPad or whatever it is they use. He had quite a big role. Who's going to do that? Who's going to do that next season? Is Jose taking on a bit too much? Is he going to have to do? Is he going to do everything that Faria did? Because I can see in the background and things like that. Sure, you can liaise with more than one coach to sort of build up a match plan. But on the sideline, that's where it's going to get interesting for me. Is who's he going to confide in? I think he will have an assistant. You could call it a silent assistant. But of his coaching staff, he's going to have one of them who he's going to be the one that sits on the sideline and discusses things with.
Yeah.
So I think he will have an assistant. He's just not going to make it official, so to speak. But I think it'll be good. I think it'll be good for the team, because there's going to be a lot more people having an input to the manager, not just one person. I think a lot more people are going to get their ideas across, with Carrick stepping up as well, because I think he will be the one acting as the assistant. Kind of,
yeah.
And I think that because Carrick will be that bridge between player and manager at times. Obviously, the manager will have direct contact with the players, but that is what the assistant's there for players to confide in. I think because Carrick knows the club and he knows the players, that will make the whole group a bit more close knit. I think a bit more tighter.
Yeah, I think Carrick will be a really interesting and possibly an important appointment. And as you said, I think Mourinho's turned around and said he's not having a direct replacement for a number 2, as in assistant manager. I think the biggest appointment, in my opinion, is not Michael Carrick. I think the biggest appointment for us in that backroom staff is going to be Kieran McKenna.
Oh yeah, I've read something about that. What was going on there?
Yeah, he's been promoted to the first team, and it was sort of quite mysterious about what role will he have and what's going on. And apparently his brother-in-law or something like that has confirmed that McKenna will be not the but a first team coach within the squad. So he will be. It didn't say the first team coach; it said a first team coach. So that leads me to believe that there's more sort of going on. It's quite a fluid system, it seems, in terms of staff. No one has really got sort of a set role. You do this, you do that, and I think that's going to make it interesting. And for me, that he is the most important acquisition, I think, for that first team. If he goes in as a first team coach, we know how talented he is, how clever, how meticulous he is. You only have to look at the under-18s last year. Yeah. He won the Premier League, the Northern title last season. A stunning brand of football as well. Really attacking, really fluid football. So, he'll probably be the one taking the training sessions and trying to put his stamp as well, on the way we play football. So I think that'll be a really interesting mix with him, Mourinho. I think Carrick bringing in maybe a bit of wisdom, a really level-headed approach, and the way we look at a football match, because we know how intelligent and how well he reads the game. So I think it's a really dynamic sort of setup that we're taking into next season, if what it's been said is true so far. And I think is it Stefano Rapetti from Sampdoria as well. He was a fitness coach for Sampdoria. Again, really clever bloke within the football world. I think he's still in talks with the club, from what I've heard latest. Well, that's what's floating around in the media. So, I mean, look at the types of people we're bringing in. Very intelligent people who know the game, who are very meticulous. I think that seems to be one of the main things that Mourinho is looking for, that sort of level of detail in everything that they want to do. So it's going to be a very interesting season, I think, next season. And if everything is going the way it seems to be going with McKenna and Rapetti and Carrick, I think it's going to be. I think our brand of football is going to improve. I really do, especially with McKenna as a first-team coach. I think it's going to be exciting stuff.
I think there's a danger to being in that mindset that just because these new managers are coming through that everything's going to improve miraculously. Let's not forget that the final say lies with the manager. Mourinho's had his way of doing things for God knows how many years, and while I remain confident, this is the thing. Some people might fall into the trap that because McKenna's coming in, suddenly we're going to go back to the Fergie era.
Yeah,
that probably still won't happen. I'm confident we will see an improvement. I've been saying it for ages. Once he brings in the players he wants, and he wants to, and he wants to incorporate his style of football, adding in the Man United way incorporating that into his style. I do think we'll still see that, and I think that these people coming in will help him realise that. But what I think people might fall into the trap of is thinking that with these people coming in, i.e. McKenna, that suddenly we're going to go back to the Fergie way. Don't think like that because you will be disappointed.
Yeah, I don't think
but
we'll
be
ever
encouraged at the fact that it's a sign that things will.
Yeah. Good stuff. Moving on.
Absolutely.
So Riley at Riley_Kendrick. Thank you, Riley, again for your question. He says, "Is there anyone on the current squad that can step up and become not just a captain but a legitimate leader for the club?"
Whenever I hear that, there's only ever one person, maybe two, that springs to mind. The first one is Ander Herrera. Now, when I look at Ander Herrera on the pitch, he's vocal. He's not afraid to be heard. He's very intelligent. We've seen that many times, defensively and in an attacking sense. He's got a good football brain. That, obviously, the fact that he's vocal are two of the big traits you need for a captain. The only downside is that, like I said in the last season in the podcast, when I said that Herrera wouldn't be a mainstay in the starting 11 this season, which he wasn't, the same is going to apply next year. I think he's only going to be a squad player, which is good because he's a very good squad player. And obviously, you don't want a squad player being a captain because he spends half the time on the bench.
Yeah.
So for that reason, you have to rule Herrera out, which is a shame because if he was a top footballer, and he was the sort of player that everyone's saying he needs to start. He needs to start. I mean, we have been saying that this season because our midfield's been rubbish. But if we're bringing in Fred and someone else follows, whether that be Savic, which I don't think is going to be, obviously Fabinho's now ruled out. If someone else comes in with him, suddenly Herrera's going to be on the peripherals. Yeah. Another player I thought was Pogba. Towards the beginning of last season, I was shouting Pogba out as a good candidate to be captain because obviously he knows the club very well. He grew up in the club. He knows what the club's about. Top footballer. But at the moment, I just don't know what he's going to do this summer. I mean, there's reports that he's going to leave. I'm not sure if I believe that, but it's possible. It's possible because he just doesn't seem to fit in at the moment. Other than those two, I think the next one has to be David De Gea. And I don't like having a goalkeeper as a captain because you can't really influence much from the 6-yard box or the 18-yard box. So, in short, Riley, to answer your question, the answer is no.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with you. I mean, you look at the mentality of some of our players, and a lot of them are just so weak, and I don't think they have the consistency or the mentality to take on the armband. Again, we mentioned Pogba. I think last season it's not happening for me. He's too inconsistent at the moment. I mean, who knows what can happen in the future? David De Gea, he's definitely our most consistent player. But I'm with you on that. I'm not that keen on having a goalkeeper as our captain. I mean, who else have we got? Alexis Sanchez. I mean, I really wouldn't want to give him the armband after only a couple of months at the club. Although that is kind of the mentality that you do want for a captain, someone who's going to run themselves into the ground for the club and for the team, and is always trying things and always trying to drag the team through. Apart from that, I can't. I'm with you. I can't really see anyone that would fit the mold really.
I think Sanchez could be a good shout actually. I think you're spot on there, but again, it's just the fact he's only been here a few months.
Yeah.
But sometimes that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
In some clubs they might not have anybody who has that mentality, and people will bring someone in to be a captain. So Sanchez could be a good shout. He's not afraid to to say what he's thinking. We've seen that on the pitch quite a lot. He's a workhorse. We know he's got great talent, and he will feature a lot next season. So that's a good shout, I reckon.
Moving on, Ike Iguala. He says Pogba and Matic take 3 or more touches of the ball and slow our build-up. Should the team play to their strengths, or should Pogba and Matic change their approach?
For a start, they need to improve in the respect that they need to move the ball quicker. That's for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of that this season could be down to other players around them not finding space quick enough, not moving off the ball quick enough. Neither of them were poor for the whole season. Pogba had flashes of brilliance. Matic had quite a few games where he was outstanding. But yes, they do take far too many touches at times.
Yeah.
Having to instead of us having to change the way we play as a team to suit them, or them having to change the way they approach games, I think that just changes around them in terms of players over the summer, I think will change the dynamic of the whole team altogether. And then we could well see improvements in both Pogba and Matic if one or both of them are actually still here by next year.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a case of Mourinho's got to sit down with Pogba and Matic and say, look, you need to do this, that, and that. He's already done that. They know what they need to do.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think it's a case where the club's got to think like we need to change everything about the club just to suit 10-touch Pogba and 10-touch Matic. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a case of either one of those. I think it's a case of bring the right players in, get the system you want to get, and then you'll start seeing a better performances from the others who we expect more from, i.e. Pogba, Sanchez, Matic.
Yeah. I think for me that's
Ashford.
Yeah. For me, I think that you hit the nail on the head. That's our main problem is personnel, and I think we've struggled so much in midfield this season at times is because the options ahead of them and wide of them have been poor or non-existent. I think we've played so narrow this season due to our lack of width. You look who we've played on the wings. We've played, Mata on the right-hand side. He always cuts in. Lingard, natural number 10, he'll cut in. Rashford, Martial, both originally sort of played at number 9 and whatnot, and they always like to cut in. They very rarely take their man, down to the line and get white on their boots, as they say, white. So I think because we've played so narrow, it's compacted everything ahead of the midfield, which has given us a lot more time, I think, to sort of just plod around in midfield and try and look for options. I mean, you can see it every game. The likes of Pogba and Matic, especially Matic. Matic is notorious for it. He'll sort of plod through midfield looking for options, no one ahead of him, and he'll just keep sort of progressing slowly with the ball. And it's because we've got no options. We don't play with any width. I don't think we've got one natural winger in the squad, in the first team squad. I think that was a big factor this season, that why we transitioned so slowly from midfield to attack is because there was just not enough options, and the options that we did have were too narrow, and we became really easy to defend against in a lot of situations. So, yeah, as you said, Paul, I think if we bring in a couple of new players, especially some wide players, especially fullbacks as well, I think is going to be a massive help for us. Fullbacks who can, overlap, who can cross, and who can cross first time. I think it's been so frustrating this season. Well, Valencia can't cross, first time, 12th time, whatever it is. And Young cut back onto his right foot so many times when there's so many opportunities for him to just take one touch down to the byline and whip it in with his left foot. He's not comfortable doing that. So I think bringing a left back who can cross with their left foot, and then maybe a new right back, because obviously Valencia's not getting any younger, and putting in some poor performances, and obviously he can't cross. So I think some new fullbacks, maybe a winger, and I think we'll be a lot more improved going forward.
Absolutely.
Moving on, so Ike again, he's given us another question here. Can you get someone who actually understands the financials surrounding the club? Because some fans think we have billions to spend. I ask this because we've averaged 150 million spend over the last 4 summer transfer windows, and I think it's going to be the same this year. With that, if you have 150 million to spend, and the FF positions, I don't know.
I read that tweet. I think what he means there is the
gonna
positions that we need to focus on more.
Yeah.
Just
All right.
based on the positions that he's listed at least.
Yes. So so goalkeeper, centre back, left back, right back, centre mid, centre defensive mid, right wing, cost 50 million each. Where would you put your money?
Well, do you know what? I've been going first on all the questions
Yeah.
so far. So do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think our most essential place at the moment is either midfield or fullback. I really think we really need to strengthen that midfield because, as I've said numerous times this season, I think we've got one of the poorest squad depths in terms of midfield in the Premier League. I think aside from Matic and Pogba, and they've been inconsistent. Aside from those two, our midfield is very, very poor. Yeah, you can make arguments for Herrera, but again, he hasn't been starting. Looked to shadow himself in a lot of games. So I think one or two, in my opinion, if Fellaini's going, Carrick's obviously left, I'd be bringing in two midfielders. There's a lot of names thrown around. We won't get to them because I'm sure you've mentioned some of them. And fullbacks, two fullbacks, two midfielders, and I'd be fairly happy with that, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think did he not just say 3 players?
What if you're 150 million? But he just says 150. Where would you put your money? Cost 50 million each, he said. So yeah, I suppose I see what you mean. Yeah,
150 million, 50 million each.
I'll have one. All right, I'll have one midfielder and two fullbacks.
Huh? So what did you get in your maths GCSE?
I don't know. Not great.
But yeah, 50 million a piece. That's 3 players. I would go right wing, right back, central midfield. That's where I would put those 3 lots of 50 million. What does that make, Ash?
That's 150.
Hey,
Look at that magic.
That's Bradgate. Right wing, right back, and central midfield.
Yeah.
Left wing, we've got an abundance of players who can play there. Sanchez can play there. Martial can play there. Rashford can play there. As much as I prefer Rashford as number 9, that will never happen under Mourinho because he's not a number 9 that fits into Mourinho's mould. Mourinho pointed that out after I forget which game it was. I think it might have been Watford when he said that we struggled because we didn't have that presence in the box. That Lukaku, we didn't have him there to bully the defenders. And Mourinho's got a history of having that sort of a player as a number 9. So I don't think Rashford's ever going to fit in there, which is a shame. But yeah, Rashford, Martial, Sanchez, they can all play on the left. So I think that position will probably be left alone this summer. Left back, it's not looking like Shaw's going to be going anywhere. I think I read something today or yesterday that he's actually going to stay and fight for his place, which is good to see because we know what potential he has. So we still might bring in a left back, but I would prefer to bring in a right back and a right winger because the right hand side is where we struggle a lot as well. I think we struggle more in the attacking aspect of our right hand side than we do on our left. So definitely a right winger, a right back to complement him, and then a central midfielder because our central midfield is poor. That's where I would go for the 3.
Interesting. Okay, moving on. So United will be right. Not sure if you recently discussed this, but who should be captain next season and why? So we have touched upon the captain. So the captain sort of things. So we'll move on from that. JJ, Jose Japan 1978. Flop, I'm assuming he means Klopp. I like that typo. Flop and Poch have better starting 11 than ours. Isn't it because of game management we came second? We should spend 350 million and give Jose the squad and review instead of using most of the deadwood and few additions. Thoughts?
What was the first part of the tweet?
So Pochettino and Jurgen Klopp have a better starting 11 than ours. It's because of game management that we came second. Better game management.
Yeah, essentially it is, isn't it? It is because of Mourinho's tactics and the way he sets us up, which took us to second place. Whilst it may not have been pretty at times, it got us there. And when you look at how Spurs and Liverpool may have gone gung ho in 99% of their games, they weren't able to get higher than us. And so their squads, you could argue, are probably a bit better than ours in most areas. So yeah, I think you have got to give credit to Mourinho there and etc. 350 million is never going to happen. He's never going to get that much to spend in one summer. Well, I could be proved wrong this summer. I don't know. But when you're looking at him spending 17 million on a right back, it just leaves so much of a budget for other players that the board might think, oh, well, that player's only cost that much. We're going to reduce your budget a little bit. You know what the Glazers are like.
Oh, yes.
So I don't think you'll ever get 350 to spend in one summer. I think if he did, we would definitely sort out a lot of the squad. But sometimes that can go the complete wrong way. Sometimes if you bring in too many players in one go, it can have a negative effect on the chemistry of the team. We've seen that a lot with other clubs as well. I think did Man City not do that at the beginning? Did they not spend when they first got taken over? I think they bought like a load of players, and it still took them years to get to where they are now. A good 7 or 8 years. So yeah, I don't think he's going to get 350 million. But you are right, though. I mean, you can't have signings and the same squad we got this season. That's just not going to work. But it is progress, as we know. We're going into the third summer now, and this is going to be very key. It's all about getting the right players. It's not about splashing the cash. It's about getting the right players. And as we all know, well, you will all know by the time you listen to this, because the news has just been breaking today about this Portuguese under-21 right back, Diogo Dole or Dolet, whatever.
Dalot.
Yeah, Dalot, whatever. I don't know. But apparently he's really good. He's got a lot of pace. His crossing ability is phenomenal, I hear. Again, don't know anything about the guy. This is just what I read.
Yeah.
And he's costing 17.5 million because that's his release clause. And that's a fantastic find. So again, it's not about, well, we don't know it's a fantastic find until we see him. But if it turns out to be, it just goes to show you don't need to spend 350 million sometimes to be able to build a squad that's going to challenge for titles and Champions League trophies. So not necessarily 350 million, but yeah, we do need to bring players in. We can't rely on the deadwood again.
Yeah, spot on. The squad definitely needs a revamp, and I think as important it is to buy players, I think it's very important that we sell players as well.
And this is another thing as well. Another point I want to make quickly. Look at the age of this guy.
Yeah.
Now tell us again that Jose doesn't invest in youth.
Exactly.
Just thought I'd get that bit in.
Yeah, well, it's important. It is. Okay, so we've got a couple more questions from Jose Japan. Thanks for your contribution. There's a load of them. I'll just sort of brush through a few. He says, not one team in Europe doing all of the above. Most fans are divided. Sort of one day the FA Cup is good enough, the next day it's not. Times come to support the team, which is what I've been saying all along, and I know, Paul, you've been the same. He also says, if Jose uses Chong, Gomez, Pereira, Scott McTominay, Rashford, and we don't win anything but scrape through top 4 and play better football than the previous year, is that okay for the fans? Fans have to be clear with what they want. So-called United way, youth, trophies, question mark, question mark, question mark. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, so, I mean, I get what you're saying. Sometimes the fans want this and they want that. And this is the funny thing about Twitter, is that you might be scrolling through your feed and you might say 2 tweets that say one thing. And then that happens. And then you might scroll through your feed and see another 2 tweets that say, oh, no, I want this. And then automatically you think, oh, make your mind up.
Yeah.
What people aren't realizing is it's not the same people saying it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not always a case of fans can't make their mind up. It's just the fact that you're seeing tweets on Twitter and, that's what it looks like. The second part to that tweet, using the youth and it not happening. This is exactly what I've been thinking all along, and exactly what I've said a few times in several podcasts over the last year or maybe even 2 years, is that, yes, it's all good bringing youth through, but people seem to want every single youth player coming in at once.
Yeah.
And that's, that happened once, a freak occasion in the class of 92. It happened once. It's not happened to any other club in the world. Since then. It's not even happened to us since then. It was a very rare occurrence, very fortunate occurrence. Doesn't happen. It just is unheard of, and it probably won't ever happen again. But yeah, I mean, you can't just bring all of them through and and promote them to the first team and then just leave them on the bench playing 1, 2, 3 games a season. You can't do that. Don't promote them. If you're going to promote them, send them out on loan.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because that's the only way you're going to do it. We can't have. It's okay promoting one, like McTominay got promoted, and he's probably played a lot more games than people would have expected him to play. But you could argue that's because of the poor midfield we've got. But I think Chong will, because he's been promoted. Not Chong, sorry, Gomez.
Yeah.
Has been promoted.
Yeah.
He signed his first professional contract this year. Went towards the end of last year. It was the season just gone. Put it that way. During the season just gone, he signed his first professional contract. So we'll see him on the summer tour, no doubt. I'm sure we'll make a few appearances on the bench. He might even go out on loan. We don't know. But yeah, fans can't have everything they want because it's just not possible.
Yeah, I mean it's the fickle bunch, aren't they? Well, I think we all are at times. But yeah, no, as you said, I don't think it's ever going to happen as bringing that many players. So 1 or 2 might trickle through and get a few cup game appearances. But yeah, I mean, I'm a massive advocate of sending players out on loan, whether it be to the Championship or whether it be to other Premier League teams, depending on the quality. It can do wonders for so many players, and it has done with players in our starting 11. If we do bring you through and scrape top 4, will that be okay? No, in my opinion, Jose has to challenge for the title. I'm not saying he has to win it, but he has to challenge. We have to be there or thereabouts. I think this season we have to close the gap on City, whether they'll run away with the league or not. Again, this season time will tell, but we need to be closer than we were last season, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think obviously a better run in the Champions League would be great. Maybe quarters or semis, if possible. Again, another FA Cup run like we did. I think it's just all about progression. I think, and once Jose sort of gets the squad behind that he wants, we've seen this season on so many occasions how poor our squad is. I mean, you can blame tactics and managers as many times as you want until you're blue in the face, but Jose is not putting, giving the tactics out to players, not being able to complete 5-yard passes. So it wants until he gets that squad where it needs to be. I think then we'll start to see true progress. And if we can keep making steps until then, all the better for me.
Absolutely.
If Fellaini stays as well as Deadwood and Fred and 2 average players comes in, for fans it'll be a disaster. Will that be Jose's fault? Ed Woodward. Apparently Jose loves spending. But if this summer we don't buy aggressively and win nothing, does Jose have to go?
I don't think it'd be Jose's fault because, as we know, he picks his targets and then Woodward's got to go out and do the deals.
Yeah.
Woodward is obviously going to be restricted by a budget set by the Glazers. That's how it works in my head, at least, anyway. So all we can do, if the summer doesn't work out how we want it to, is speculate as to whose fault it is. You'll have those that blame Jose, you will have those that blame Woodward, and you will have those that blame the Glazers. Different people are going to blame different people. We won't know whose fault it's going to be. So I, for one, won't be jumping on anyone's back if the transfer market falls dead, because we just don't know who's at fault. But on the flip side of that, since Jose's been here, we've actually, I think, been quite good in the transfer market. When you look at the players that we brought in each summer, I think we've actually been pretty good. Because let's just recap a couple of them, shall we? Pogba, we knew all about Pogba, world record transfer. That was a good deal, a good job by Ed Woodward. There were lots of gifs and memes going around of Ed Woodward at that point. Mkhitaryan was one of the top players in Europe at that point. We got him. Good job. Eric Bailly was a find that no one heard of, and he still could yet turn out to be a world-class defender. Victor Lindelof had a very good reputation, very highly sought after by other of Europe's elite clubs. We got him. Again, another player yet to show his true potential, but could still happen this season. A lot of the players that we've brought in since Mourinho's time, players that Mourinho's highlighted, have been, at that time, have been absolutely fantastic. It's just taken some of them a bit longer to bed in than others, and 1 or 2 of them haven't worked out, i.e. Mkhitaryan. But in general, I think it's been pretty good.
Yeah. And
I'm confident that we'll see that trend continue this summer. So I don't think there's anything to worry about.
Yeah, I think that the big thing for me, and why it's frustrating is because it's a World Cup year, and we all know what the World Cup can do to the transfer market, prices, impacting on deals getting done. And I think that our squad is in such need of replacements. I think we should be aiming to get deals done quickly, because obviously we're not going to have 350 million to spend, but I think we need to make quite a few purchases. I mean, I'd be looking at bringing in at least 4 players over the summer. Whether that happens or not, who knows? But we need to sell as well. So, you can look at the Glazers and say, we have to spend this much money. Yeah, but sell some players as well. Get rid of it. Recoup some of that fee. And get rid of some of the deadwood, because we need to. And that's my opinion. That's why I really want to get deals done early. I mean, that news coming out about Diogo Dalot obviously talks about Fred as well, whether they'll go well or not. And if that's, if fabricated stories are what we don't know. But if we can get 1 or 2 deals done before the World Cup, I think I'll feel a whole lot better then. Because, with World Cup performances coming in, prices inflating to ridiculous amounts. And we all know what the Glazers and Woodward are like, trying to haggle a deal. Instead of going out and paying the price that they're worth, we're always trying to haggle a deal. And sometimes that can have an impact on the deal, which in turn impacts our squad. So, yeah, I mean, will Mourinho go if he doesn't win anything next season? Possibly. And I think it all depends on progression again. If we don't win anything, but we get very close to winning the league, we get, quite far in the Champions League, again, we make another good cup run. For progressing, I mean, no, he doesn't have to go, in my opinion, but it'll all depend on the board, and I'm sure the fans' knee-jerk reaction will be as fantastic as ever if we don't win anything. But I think it all depends on the circumstances, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Should the club be vigorously looking for Mourinho's successor, since his 3rd season mostly don't end well?
That's from Ike Iguala.
Yeah.
No. Clubs like Man United, they will have had a short list of managers when Fergie announced his retirement. That short list, even to this day, I would be willing to believe hasn't changed. There would have been managers when Fergie retired who had just committed to new jobs, i.e. Ancelotti, i.e. Mourinho, i.e. Pep. There would have been all those managers had just committed to new clubs, and I think all of them would probably have been on the short list. So who did they go for next? Well, Fergie put his trust in Moyes, and then when Moyes went, who was available? No one. Not that that you would consider to be top caliber, top class. The next best thing at that time was Louis van Gaal.
Yeah,
we brought him in, sacked him. All of a sudden, boom, one of those top elite managers is available. What did United do? Snapped him up. So I think that there's a short list of managers that the board would have, that they would have had 5 years ago, and I'm willing to bet that it hasn't changed to this day. So I don't think they'll be vigorously looking for someone. I think that they've probably got a short list, probably just about 10 managers.
Yeah.
Because whilst there might be 2 or 3 elite managers, there's probably going to be 7 or 8 out there that could well be elite. So yeah, I don't think they should be vigorously searching. Just purely because it's the 3rd season. They won't be searching no matter what season it is, because I can guarantee they've already got a few people on the short list who they'll be contacting to interview as soon as they either sack or Mourinho hands in his resignation, which I don't think we'll see either of anytime soon, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so as well. And yeah, I don't think they'll be vigorously searching. I think that'll be, I mean, for the type of character that Mourinho is, it would be enormously offensive, and I think he'd take it, as offensive as and rightly so. I think while he's doing the job he's under contract. I mean, he should be the only man for the job, and he is at the moment. So yeah, I don't think they'll be searching for anyone else at this point. Sir Zach Brown at Backzrown. Do you think Kieran McKenna can bring in a different mentality in regards to Moo's team setup and style of play for matches, no matter the size and talent of the opposing club? Seemed to be one of the bigger issues by playing down to the talents of lower competition this season. So we've already touched upon McKenna and what he can bring. Anything else to add on that, Paul?
I don't think so. Really, it's just like I said earlier. Just because these people are coming into the setup, let's not suddenly assume that we're going to go back to the Fergie era. What I do believe though is that these people will assist Mourinho in bringing in that attacking that United way, quotation mark, United way into Mourinho's ethos or philosophy, if you like, on how he plays. So, whilst I think that these people will, assist that, I don't think we should be suddenly jumping to the conclusion that everything's going to go back to how it was, Fergie and post Fergie, pre Fergie, sorry.
I don't think that will happen anytime soon, if ever. But I'm hoping that McKenna can have some sort of impact. I think if he even brings in a few different things, to try and maybe impact on the squad, I think that's a positive thing. So that's what I think.
If he does, if he's got ideas, Mourinho will listen to him.
Yeah, he will. Definitely after last season as well, and how well the under-18 team performed. I think he will take into account. Josh Shaw, Sessegnon and Fulham.
Well, top talent. I would be happy to have him.
Yeah,
that's what there is to say about that. Really, I don't watch the guy.
No,
I just know that he's a top talent, and that everyone goes on about him. So he must be good.
And I think the discussion would have been a little bit more in depth had Fulham not reached the Premier League. I think maybe Sessegnon would have possibly been on the move. Now I think he'll stay because he'll be playing week in, week out in the Premier League with Fulham. That's what I think. He's also added as well, which I kind of like, fondest United memory.
It has to be the 99 Champions League final. It absolutely has to be, because I was so young then.
Yeah.
And the excitement was so huge when you're that age. I mean, how old would I have been?
11, I was.
13. I'd have been 13. And at that, sitting there watching it with my old man, the excitement level was just so high. I mean, I was excited watching the Europa League final. I was excited watching the FA Cup final, but not like I was back then. Not when you're a kid, It means so much more when you're a kid. And I think that memory will stick with me forever. These last few minutes, absolute euphoria. So I'm going to have to go with that.
I probably agree with you on the 99, because I remember I was living in Cardiff at the time, and my parents had gone out for food somewhere. I'd gone out, and I was home on my own. Great parenting. 11.
Social services.
Yeah, do it. And my father's worth mentioning. You could tell we don't get along because he's an absolutely massive Liverpool fan. Hence why we don't get on. But he happened to look at the score or something before they went to food or to get something, and saw that we were losing 1-0. It was coming to the end, so he was quite happy with himself. And by the time he'd reached home, United were lifting the cup and we won 2-1, which was superb. I think that, and I think definitely 08. I think that double as well was brilliant. And that Champions League final was such a roller coaster ride of emotions. From Ronaldo scoring to Ronaldo missing the penalty, and then Terry missing his penalty. I think that was superb as well. I think another one for me would probably be the 4-3 victory over City as well, because that was one of the best games of football I've ever seen. That with Michael Owen scoring that winning goal. I think that was one of the best games of football. Yeah, it was superb. Okay, so I think we've only got one or two more.
Yeah, we'll do the rest of them.
So David Makings, at Makings 101, who do we predict will leave versus who stays? Also, who is most important between the three midfielders linked to Man United? Well, two now, Savic, Fred, and Fabinho.
So who's going to leave? I think Fellaini's gone. I think he's as good as gone. Still no contract signed at this point. He's definitely leaving, I think.
Yeah.
Who else? Really don't know, because there's so many players that should have left last season that didn't.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if they're ever going to leave, i.e. Phil Jones.
Darmian.
Actually, that's a good shout. Yeah, Darmian looks
Michael
like
Juventus.
Leave. Yeah, that's a good shout, actually. Daley Blind also is another one that there's a lot of talk about him leaving as well, which, I don't think we didn't really miss him this season, did we? I mean, times that he did play, it was nothing like he played under Van Gaal, but then again, I think he suits Van Gaal's system a bit more.
Yeah.
But at least we got to see him play in midfield right at the end of the season.
Right at the end. Was it last game of the season? Last game at 1, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, who do you think?
Yeah, I think Fellaini and Darmian for me. I think they're probably, especially with the news now of what's his name, Dolat. I think Diogo Dolat, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
I think that's. It looks as if it's going to get, because Sky Sports are reporting it and everything else. So it looks like it's going to be done. So that's a right back. I think we've already got Valencia who'll be competing. So I think Darmian will go. I'm hoping he does anyway. I think Fellaini will go because isn't it something like 9 or 10 days until his contract expires?
Well, I thought it would have been less than that. June the 1st, isn't it? Is the day that?
Oh, it could have been, yeah. Oh, so yeah, it might have been even further. So yeah, counting down the hours. I mean, possibly Daley. I know Daley Blind has spoken quite recently about returning to Ajax at some point. So that could be a possibility. Apart from that, I don't know. I mean, we can slag off your Phil Joneses, your Chris Smallings, your Ashley Youngs, yeah. But I think Mourinho thinks they're important pieces to his squad. So I think if we sell 3, buy 4, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah.
Do you have anyone else?
I was just thinking, I can't see Young or Valencia leaving.
No.
No. Valencia doesn't really have a challenger. Well, unless this Diogo guy comes in. Then yeah, that'll be the guy that challenges him. Luke Shaw and Ashley Young can fight it out between them. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? This is why I don't like talking about transfers because you just don't know.
It is just shot in the dark, isn't it? I think Luke Shaw has turned around and said that he wants to stay and fight for his place.
Good. Which is what I want to hear.
Which is good. So yeah, and who's the most important? Well, Fabinho's gone. He's gone to Liverpool. Decent signing for them. Fred looks like it could happen. I think he's in London at some point because aren't Brazil playing a friendly in Liverpool or something this week? There's something, and then Savic. I think we could be in for Savic if we sell Pogba. I can't see it happening, and I think his fee is ridiculously high, and I don't think we'd be willing to pay it. So Fred looks most likely, but who knows? And it's just. Close your eyes and throw it at the dartboard. No one knows.
Yeah, let's just wait and see what happens. Enough transfer talk.
Yeah. Next one, Liam Fahy at Liam Architect. How clickbait is destroying the fan channel experience?
I think you need to direct that tweet to a fan channel.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't exactly. Well, I suppose now we're on YouTube, you could call us a channel. But I'm not aware of us putting out any clickbait.
We don't. Well, I don't think we clickbait. To be fair.
No. So whilst we appreciate you following us, Liam, and commenting on our tweet, I think you might be aiming that at the wrong people. But let us know if that's not the case, please.
Yeah, call us out if we do. And then we'll finish off then with an interesting one, which has been in the media quite a bit. Michael Stow. United fans hoping for a Liverpool win. How is this possible?
Well, I think the GIF that he's put accompanying that tweet says it all, really.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just ridiculous, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, I've had people ask me in work, people that don't follow football in work, so, well, why aren't you supporting a British team? I just turn around and walk away.
Yeah.
Like, don't even get me started. Just don't. Just don't ask. Well, I don't get it. You don't need to get it. If you don't get it, it's not important to you. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I don't understand it, but each to their own.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. I mean, there's if it was, I don't know, Scunthorpe United against Real Madrid, I might have wanted Scunthorpe to it, but not.
That's a good point actually, because my missus said it as well. She said, "Why don't you support a British team?" And I said, "Look. If it's Liverpool, Man City, no chance.
Or Arsenal or Chelsea."
I said if it would have been, well, maybe even Arsenal. Well, yeah, maybe not Chelsea, but Spurs or Arsenal. I said it might have been a bit different, maybe, but definitely not Man City or Liverpool. God no.
Yep.
God no.
One thing I will say, though, is as much as I enjoyed Liverpool's demise, I did feel a little bit sorry for Karius. Only during the game. Afterwards, I was fine. But
Yeah.
during the game, not one Liverpool player went over to console him in that moment.
No, they didn't. That was quite shocking.
It was horrendous, yeah. And the scenes afterwards, when he was apologising, they were, you know, they must have been soul destroying for him. And I don't know. Will he play for him again? I don't know. I don't even want to talk about Miss Liverpool. We'll be talking about Liverpool for.
Yeah, let's move on.
But yeah, that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
All done. Let's wrap it up then. So, so this episode was all about you guys. So thank you all for your suggestions. It's funny, isn't it, Ash? Because sometimes we can go a day where we only get 2 responses.
Yeah.
And then we get a podcast which relies solely on responses, and we get loads. So that's brilliant. So,
Brilliant stuff.
It might be because I actually put the tweet out earlier.
A couple of days in advance.
A couple of days in advance, yeah.
It's good stuff.
But yeah, thank you to all of you that sent tweets into us. We've actually managed to get through, I think, all of them.
Yeah.
Those that sent like 5 or 6 to us, we may have missed 1 or 2 of yours. I'm not sure, but thank you all anyway for doing that. Ash, you want to give out your Twitter details?
Yeah, it's at Ashboio, ASHBOIO. Thank you again to those of you who did.
I've lost you, Ash.
Lost you?
Oh, there you are. You're back.
Oh, so yeah, special shout out to Jose Japan because we have had a bit of a back and forth this week discussing sort of all things United and everything. So yeah, thank you to him. Again, if you've got any discussion points, chuck them over.
Absolutely. You can follow myself as well. It's at Paul Gardiner LP. Follow the Talking Manchester United podcast Twitter account at United Stand Pod. You can also get us on YouTube as well. Just search Talking Manchester United podcast or search United Stand podcast. You should find us under both. Make sure you subscribe and like and comment. We'd like to hear your thoughts. The views on YouTube are slowly creeping up, which is good as well. The downloads that we get on podcast apps are also slowly increasing still. So this is always good. Whilst you're on YouTube, look up and subscribe to VanCam. Kev Ashford, you all know him. Great channel. Such a good laugh. So make sure you do that. Ash, I'm going to say yes, we'll do another podcast next week.
Okay.
During the course of this week, I'll have a look at that thing you sent me.
Yeah.
So yeah, for those of you listening, we're going to do a podcast next week, providing that these guys are available. We've been approached by some people to do something on YouTube. I won't give them too much right now, but keep an eye on our YouTube channel. We should put something out over the next few days.
Yeah.
And then, it'll be something different next week. Following next week, we might take a break for a little while. Might be 1 week, might be 2 weeks, might be the duration of the World Cup. Not sure yet, but we will keep you posted. So again, just keep an eye on our Twitter account. Just so you know what's going on, you know when to check your podcast apps or YouTube. So we'll leave it there. Ash, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you as always.
And thank you everyone for listening. We'll be back next week. Cheers.